Alright, so you said in your video that you felt I was kind of in a position of uncertainty, that I don't know if something is true or not. Um, well, alright, I'm free to admit that there's stuff that I don't know if it's true or not. I would definitely fall much more towards the camp of skeptics and free thinkers than what I'd call a believer. Um, I'm not inclined to call that atheism, though. This is one of my pet peeves. There are two sets of definitions in common usage floating around out there. There's the one set that says that you've got this two-dimensional spectrum, and it normally comes with square or diamond-shaped diagrams or whatever, where you've got one dimension of you either believe or you don't believe, and another dimension of you're either certain or you're not certain. And those dimensions are atheism versus theism and Gnosticism versus agnosticism. That's actually a relatively new model for looking at it for me. I started encountering it a couple years ago when I came online, started seeing it on the internet. And it's out there. I freely acknowledge that's a valid set of definitions. But the pet peeve is when people insist that it's the only definition. Well, not even then. I'm fine when they think that's the only definitions out there. What bugs me, and I haven't seen you do this, is when they really get upset that someone uses the other set of definitions. The other set of definitions is an atheist is someone who says God doesn't exist. They actually positively back that statement. A theist is someone who says God does exist, and an agnostic is someone who says, I don't really know. Both are valid sets of definitions. Both are very heavy in common usage. Alright, where was I? Phone call interrupted me. Yeah, most people I poll in everyday life seem to say atheist, agnostic, theist, kind of in a line spectrum. Most of the people I talk to online seem to go with the two-dimensional quadrant approach. I'd be hard-pressed to say that either of them is the dominant, the only definition. So that's one of the real reasons I try to avoid using the word atheist, because no matter which definition I pick, I'm going to confuse half the people out there. There are also a few that are kind of archaic. I actually, as part of an argument that I got way too involved in a while back, I actually went to the dictionaries on this. Oxford English Dictionary, the only one that comes anywhere close to being an authority on the English language. It isn't, but it's the closest there is. And by authority, I mean the one that lays down the law. Oxford English Dictionary, I kind of puzzled that out. The definitions were short. It's kind of ambiguous. I could have taken them either way. I also went to Webster's, which is best you'll get for American English. And that one had both sets of definitions in it for both atheist and agnostic, and which is what I'd expect of a major dictionary when there was a word that had multiple definitions. It didn't really acknowledge either one of them as being correct or wrong. So they're both out there. They're both in common usage. They're both in the dictionary. Sorry, pet peeve of mine, complete pet peeve of mine. My tendency is to actually go with the three-part spectrum definition, but as I get more and more into the online conversations, I try to do the two-dimensional approach if it becomes obvious that the person I'm talking to is using the same approach, same definition. Alright, way more discussion than you probably wanted to hear about that. Now that said, I don't really think I can qualify myself as either an atheist or a theist, because first, before I could say either I do believe that one or more deities exist, or I don't believe that, I need to have a clear idea of what a deity is. I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty confident of my understandings of what does or doesn't exist, or rather I should say, I know what I believe, I know what I'm uncertain about, I just don't know whether those count as deities. Okay, so I can believe in blah, but is blah God? That I don't know. So, where are I? A small list here of things I was going to cover. Alright, so history. I don't think I'll go into that. So you also asked in comments. Okay, so to be clear, I definitely wouldn't call myself Christian. I have kind of an intuitive sense of various things that we might think of as the Christian God, but I don't really trust that that sense is a correct one. Friend of mine, minister near the campus here, he, campus ministry, very jolly guy, he's a Methodist. He would often have these conversations with people who would say that they don't believe in God, and he'd ask, well, what does God mean to you? And they'd say something along the lines of, oh, he's this guy who sits up there in judgment, and if we don't follow the rules, get sent to hell, and so on and so forth. And he'd think about that for about half a second and say, yeah, I don't believe in that God either. So the question's relevant. I mean, what counts as a God? As an example of that, I just posted this in the comment section, so maybe you saw that there beforehand, before you hear me say it here. The Roman emperors and the Egyptian pharaohs, I believe those existed. There's strong historical evidence for them existing, contemporary accounts, so on and so forth. And they were widely regarded as gods by their people. Well, the early Roman emperors, at least. So here were things that at least some people, a great many people, regard as gods, and I think existed. Not present day, but they existed. Natural question there is, are these gods? I'm inclined to say no, at least not in the common current day Abrahamic sense. But you can kind of start to see, maybe, I hope, how the questions become relevant. Maybe not. Now, you also asked in the comments section of my invitation video, why just call myself agnostic? Agnostic with an I. Why not call myself an agnostic atheist or something clear? Well, I suppose I could call myself a skeptical agnostic or a free-thinking agnostic, though I think that last one's a bit redundant. But to my mind, agnostic and atheist are distinct categories. To call myself an atheist, even under the broadest definition of atheism, would imply that I somehow categorize my belief in the existence of deities as true or false. Well, I know what I believe, but I can't really say for sure whether what I believe in includes a deity, because I'm not sure what counts as a deity, and until I've got a clear notion of that, I can't really say that I don't believe in one. So I'm just not prepared to label myself as an atheist. Alright, I hope that was something that interested you. Get back to me with the video if you have a response to that, and we'll see where we go from there. Bye.